Hashana Tova Tikatevu. We welcome everybody to begin our new year here at University Synagogue. We welcome you warmly, and we hope you have a wonderful experience of the High Holy Days with us. How good and how pleasant it is when brothers and sisters gather together, and how good and how pleasant it is for Kareth and me to have Scott and Margaret in our lives. So we're going to turn, friends, and honor them as we turn to page 11 for our candle lighting.
Baruch, Baruch. Eloheinu melech haolam. Amen.
How many of you saw the candles actually lit for 30 seconds? Good. Tradition is that upon two witness accounts, a matter stands. Had many more hands than that. Imagine. We're going to turn to page 12. Please join me responsively. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect,
a time to return,
a time to gather round the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life and spirit of our community.
This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality.
This is the season of hope, like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn. Our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice.
This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage. May we find love.
As we wish each other a Shana Tova here, we also want to welcome virtually those who may be tuning into us by our live stream connection. We want to make sure that if you are far away, or you're in a hospital bed, or you're in a nursing home, or you are with your family but unable to be at our synagogue tonight, we want you to feel welcome as well. We want the connections from our community to go out into the wider community. And so wherever you may be on this night, you are welcome here at University Synagogue. We're going to turn, friends, to page 15 and give you a Yiddish word, Vorspeis. It's kind of like appetizer, but I would never use that word on Yom Kippur. Page 15. Tika'u b'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar. For that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. Praise God with the blast of the shofar. Together, friends. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol truat amo Yisrael b'rachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, the true voice of your people Israel. And my privilege to call upon Scott Spencer for our Tikiyah. A taste of tomorrow. Page 17, we welcome forward our student rabbi Joanne Leubman to join us as we turn to the Hineni. Here I am, so poor in deeds I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you to whom Israel sings praise. Although unworthy, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel, for they have entrusted me with this task.
Therefore, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, Adonai, Adonai, merciful, gracious God, who inspires awe, I pray to you for success on my path.
I pray for myself and my community to not hold them responsible for my wrongdoings and offenses. May my deeds cause them no shame, and may their deeds cause me no shame.
Page 19. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, yehi ratzon שנזכה לברכותיך בשנת 5079. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5779. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. It's my privilege to invite forward to offer a vignette for these High Holy Days, Carrie Larson.
Hello, my name is Carrie Larson, and I am so honored to be up on the bima speaking about my experience in the Havurah program here at University Synagogue. One of the most important and enriching aspects of Judaism to me is a sense of community and belonging. I didn't really have that growing up. My family wasn't part of a temple, and I often felt like an outsider within my own people when my Jewish friends would talk about all the activities their families would do together. High Holy Days, Shabbat dinners, B'nai Mitzvah, and other social events. So when I joined University Synagogue 9 years ago, one of my biggest hopes was to make close connections with other families and experience a sense of community and belonging for my son and me. All I can say is, I feel like we won the lottery. For the built-in community that comes with membership and participation in the amazing activities and events planned by the temple, of course, but mostly because of our great fortune to have been included in a phenomenal Havurah for the past 5 years. Our group of 7 families has shared the highest of highs, celebrating 13 B'nai Mitzvah between us, and has supported each other through more difficult times this past year. Our kids have grown up together before our eyes, all of whom are now in high school. From Shabbat dinners to Dodger games to acts of Tikkun Olam, my Havurah has brought my son and me both personal and spiritual rewards that are immeasurable and more than make up for what was missed in my childhood. It may sound trite, but these people have gone from being just good friends to truly being a second family. So thank you to the temple and my fellow hip parents, cool kids, Havurah members for bringing so much joy to Alan's and my life. Shana Tova.
You'll notice on some of our materials that we're preparing or have prepared that are in your seats, you'll see Kol Echad, one voice, one community. It carries a representative of the one community that we want to foster in our synagogue, and we thank her. We're going to turn, friends, to our formal call to prayer, Baruch Hu, page 20. We invite all who are able to please rise. Page 22, let's read together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו.
אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריב ערבים.
We're going to invite our students who have received their golden kippah to join us here on the bima as we turn, friends, to page 24 for Ahavat Olam. Shema Yisrael, page 26 and 7. Friends, you may be seated. We invite our Golden Kippah awardees, those who have gone a little beyond in study and prayer and deed and action, who earned the Golden Kippah at the time of their bar or bat mitzvah or beyond. And it appears we have quite a bundle of them, and we're delighted they're all here. And so we turn now to 28 as they lead us.
1, 2, 3.
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
That was good. Thanks.
So we've been very, very honored the last year that our student rabbi, Joanne Leuben, has been able to be with us. Joanne is a student at the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. She's in her final year, which means this is a moment where she shakes. That means by next May, she's going to become an ordained rabbi. And we're delighted she's with us now a second year. She studied at Washington University at the Pardes Institute in Jerusalem. She taught in Atlanta at the Davis Hebrew Day School, which is run and maintained by our Reform movement. And she's worked with our kids, so some of you may not have had the opportunity to learn with her. She's also had the opportunity to teach our Chevra Torah class from time to time and to be involved in the religious life of our synagogue. She's going to continue our service, friends, as we turn to 33.
To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart, to break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect, to break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy, to break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts, to break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength, to untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being. Please join me. To break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope, to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help. Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year. We turn to page 34 for Mi Chamocha.
מלכותך ראו בניך בו כהים לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ואמרו ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We turn now to Hashkivenu on page 36. Before we begin the Amidah, one of our most central prayers, we take a minute to prepare ourselves. And the words of Adonai Tzvatai Tivtach give us that moment of pause as we ask God to open our lips for the praise we are about to speak. This moment of pause allows us to set an intention, much like Rosh Hashana is meant to do. It allows us to take a pause from our regularly scheduled life and gives us the opportunity to set an intention for the year to come. Please turn to page 42 and rise for the Amidah. Page 44.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, HaGibor, V'hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot Mehevi Geola Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Ve'ahava Zochreinu L'chaim Ve'chafetz B'chaim V'chaveinu B'sefer Hayim Baruch Elohim Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Again Avraham, they has wrought sorrow.
We continue together in English on page 46. Your life-giving power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs. Sovereign over life and death. Who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our immortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Wellspring of blessing, power eternal, you are the one who gives and renews all life. Please be seated and turn with me to page 50.
Kavod Adonai le'amecha uvechein ten kavod tehillah l'recha v'tigval torshecha ufidchon parameyacha limloch uvechein ten kavod.
continue on page 53. Please turn to page 54. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our peoples going out from Egypt. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for our safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace, on this day of remembrance. 55. Eternal our God, remember us.
Amen.
Amen. Be mindful of us.
Amen.
Amen.
And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing.
Amen.
Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. Page 58. God, who is ours and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot. And may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart. For you are a faithful God whose truth stands forever.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Amen.
Please turn to page 60.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ve'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'arai tikabel.
Page 61. May the hands of our brothers and sisters who cherish the dust of our land, all of them, wherever they are, be strong. Do not give up in spirit, in joy, and in song. Come together as one for the sake of our people. We turn now to page 64.
Yitbarach בשמך,
טוב שמך,
הטוב בשמך,
טוב שמך,
ולך
We continue on page 65. At the bottom. Source of blessings, may we open our eyes to the radiance around us. May we open our hearts with gratitude and our souls with appreciation. Please turn to page 66.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol ha-shalom. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום. ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. ברכה ושלום ניזכר וניכתב לפניך. אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל. לחיים טובים ושלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה
As we prepare to enter our own individual and silent prayer time, using either the words on page 67 or 68 or any prayer you may have in your own heart at this time, I'd like to share some words that were very meaningful to me at this season as I read them, preparing for tonight and the days that come. Rabbi Nachman of Wroclaw envisioned that the sounds of the shofar built a bridge, And so as we engage in our own silent prayer this night, let us think about each blast of the shofar being a solid step underneath our feet on that bridge toward what we might like to see and be for ourselves in this coming year. Shana Tova. Let's join together in silent prayer.
Isn't it wonderful having our cantor and our cantor emeritus together on the bima and to hear their beautiful music? We're so, so happy. Friends, we turn to our Misha Berach prayer for healing. Words are not in your prayer book. The words of healing can be found in your hearts. This cantor offers these special words. We name tonight those men, women, and children who may be suffering from any physical, emotional, or spiritual illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. We ask that you give them renewed comfort and courage. If you would like to name someone, please feel comfortable in doing so at this time. Goldstein. We hold all their names in our hearts as well as those that remain unnamed, and we turn to our Misha Berach prayer for healing.
Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Yevaneh, Vehirapeh, and Hacholim. Elna, Refana, Elna, Refana. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Yevaneh, Vehirapeh, and Hacholim.
So I'll let you in on a small rabbi hint. When you see Hebrew transliterated in the prayer book, it often indicates that the committee could not figure out what to do with the translation. And so it is with Avinu Malkeinu. I grew up with the words, our Father, our King, words that by the 70s felt very alienating from those who did not look at God through a male hierarchy. And so by the time of Gates of Repentance, our red High Holy Day prayer book, it was already in the midst of a change, going from our Father, our King. There were people who did want to try a version that was Makor Chayenu, trying to find a feminine voice of God's name. And finally, the committee that drafted this prayer book came up with the idea that it's Avinu Malkeinu, however you understand and interpret that. And so we turn, friends, to Avinu Malkeinu, page 77. We invite all who are able to please rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu
You may be seated. I walked into a room at Cedar Sinai during my first week working as a chaplain for my summer internship. The woman had requested a chaplain, so I hoped I would at least be a welcome visitor. I knocked and entered, finding the patient lying on her side in the hospital bed with her sister behind her, braiding her hair. I trembled as I introduced myself and asked how the woman was feeling after her surgery. She answered that the surgery had gone well and she was feeling as good as can be expected, but she had a long road ahead of her and asked for a prayer for her recovery. I inquired about her faith tradition, and she said she was a Christian. I had a split second to think about how I was going to do this. After all, this was my first visit of the sort, and I had never prayed with a Christian before. To be honest, I had never prayed one-on-one in this spontaneous manner with anyone before. I thought about what I had seen in the movies and bowed my head, the patient and her sister following suit, closing their eyes as well. Dear God, I began, and continued with a few sentences asking for health and peace for this woman's road to recovery before rushing toward the big finish with an amen, followed by their amens. I awkwardly opened my eyes and looked up when the patient smiled slightly and said, "Well, that was to the point." Clearly, it was time to turn to my interfaith colleagues for support. Luckily, I was working amongst a full staff of interfaith colleagues and walked into dozens of rooms filled with people of many faiths and backgrounds. I asked my Christian friends how they prayed with their patients. First, they listened. They took in the story and the themes of their patients and reflected back to them in prayer, while continually asking for God's love and support throughout the prayer. It was amazing to see just how personal this felt. I watched as the chaplains worked their magic both one-on-one and in their services. I attended the Christian services weekly, and what I loved most was the point in their service when the leader would pause and ask the people in that room to share what they were praying for on that day. The leader would then say a joint communal prayer, including all their petitions and requests of God. I watched as the congregants' faces lit up when their prayer was mentioned, often accompanied by a stream of tears. I then asked my Buddhist friend, a venerable, what I learned was the politically correct way to say Buddhist nun or monk, how she prayed. She answered by showing me a few different ways to meditate. One afternoon, she pulled me into the chapel and told me to close my eyes, hug myself, and repeat these words out loud. I love you, thank you, I'm sorry. Over and over. Repeating these simple sayings to myself while physically embracing myself was more powerful than I could have imagined. So meaningful that when I opened my eyes, I felt an unexpected dampness. I also tried a few forms of prayer that were extremely interesting, yet admittedly did not speak to me. I sat in on a meditation led by a Unitarian Universalist friend of mine, where she opened with a beautiful song, and we continued by sitting in a dark room in silence for a half an hour. While this was a fascinating experience, I found my mind wandering and my body getting what my bubby calls spilkes and my kindergarten teacher called ants in my pants. But I realized that praying from the heart is what I found to be the universal thread between these expressions of faith. While I expected to learn about all the types of prayer with which I was not familiar, what I didn't expect, perhaps naively, was to learn about prayer from the Jewish patients and prayer services, with which I felt very familiar. For the most part, the Jewish rooms I walked into, of which there were many, it was Cedar Sinai after all, were welcoming to a conversation, but rarely requested prayer. The patients and families who did request prayer specifically requested the Misha Berach, the Jewish healing prayer, which we all just sang together. I noticed that the Jewish services emphasized the fixed prayer, as there is a known order and familiar tunes. I found comfort in this, as anyone who had ever attended a Kabbalat Shabbat service before could join in on a Friday afternoon in our chapel, recognizing the words and/or melodies. I struggled to figure out why, even though this is obviously meaningful to me personally, it seemed there was a personal element in those prayers that I was missing. Judaism does have a tradition of personal prayers, though. In fact, it long predates that fixed order. We find personal, also known as spontaneous prayer, in our Jewish sources as far back as the Torah itself. One example is when Jacob, the son of Isaac, grandson of Abraham, was traveling through the desert, headed back home with his family, and heard that his brother Esau was approaching Jacob's encampment. This is the same brother from whom he had stolen the blessing which effectively made Jacob the third patriarch of the future Jewish people. The text says, "Vayira Yaakov me'od," and Jacob was very frightened. He was terrified that this interaction would be dangerous, if not possibly life-altering. He did not know what lied ahead for him and his family in the minutes, hours, or days. In his moment of uncertainty, that feeling most of us might relate to throughout our lives, Jacob called out to God. He used his words as prayer, the intermediary between him and God. He made known the deepest desires of his heart into this moment of petition. The great Hasidic master, the Baal Shem Tov, taught that we are meant to come into prayer with Rahmana Liba Baye, which translates to bringing your full heart. I still struggled with why it felt like my Christian colleagues could bring their full heart, and I still felt disconnected. That's when it struck me. There is a discomfort in spontaneous prayer because it's in English. But praying from the heart is much easier in the language you understand. Another great Hasidic master, Rabbi Nachman, taught about this challenge in relation to personal prayer. He said, "Such prayer should be in the language that you normally speak. It is difficult to express your thoughts in Hebrew, and your heart is not drawn to your words. We do not normally speak Hebrew, and we are not accustomed to expressing ourselves in this language. But in the language that you normally use for conversation, it is much easier to express yourself, and more likely that you will experience true heartbreak. The heart is drawn after your native language, since you are accustomed to it." Now, if the language you normally speak is Hebrew, great. But if not, he is teaching that it's not only acceptable but encouraged to speak in your native tongue when praying from the heart. I began thinking about this phenomenon. We teach Hebrew so our students can read prayers, and therefore we believe we are teaching the students how to pray. I wonder, how many people in this room feel that you truly know how to pray? Maybe prayer is important to you and that's why you're here tonight. Maybe for some of you, the words on the page really resonate. And maybe for some, like me, you come back to this machzor, this prayer book, each year with similar struggles. I wonder if there is room for both the fixed liturgy and personal prayer, and how we can embody the heart in each of these very Jewish elements. After pondering the idea about the way Jews pray, I read an essay by Jewish scholar Michael Fishbane, in which he explained, "In Jewish prayer, the Jewish person evokes the memories and hopes of past and present Jewish communities as part of a living prayer quorum." And he continues by saying, "The occasional eruption of a personal voice in the set communal service is, therefore, noticeably minimized or regulated." This resonated with me, as I do feel connected, and perhaps you do as well, to those who have sat in these seats and said these same words before us for generations and generations, from family trees all the way to the liturgists who wrote the beautiful ancient poetry based in a rich tradition. This is a unique and special way for us to connect, but Michael Fishbane goes on in his essay to speak about the importance of personal prayer as well. He says, "Spontaneous individual prayer, on the other hand, has no fixed time or season, and no fixed language or place. It can be the voiced or the voiceless longing of the heart, the cry for God's presence of the mystic, or the diffuse groan of the hungry, the scrawled note of the unlettered, or the crafted work of the God-intoxicated artist. It is the language of the solitary self before God." Both the fixed and the spontaneous are Jewish prayers. This is not to say that the words on the page are not central, but maybe they are a starting point to inspire personal prayers from the heart rather than the destination. Think with me for a moment. When is the last time you were moved to pray from your heart? Was it when you or a loved one were in the hospital hoping for health and healing? Was it while you welcomed a new life? Was it in a synagogue at a bris or bat mitzvah? Was it your marriage, or did you attend a wedding of a friend or family member? Maybe you're dealing with a divorce. Or maybe an upcoming graduation, starting a new job, or even something as small as the Sunday scaries before a new week. There are moments, these are the moments where we find ourselves in times of transition or initial stages of something new. These moments can be heartbreaking or expand our hearts in beautiful ways we never imagined. These are the times we may find ourselves the most vulnerable and open to prayer. Much like we may find ourselves tonight, in the beginning of a new year, while beginning the most sacred days of the Jewish year. The Jewish tradition marks these 10 days, starting tonight on Rosh Hashana and culminating on the last shofar blast of Yom Kippur, meant to evoke the feeling of ambiguity as we feel in other vulnerable moments, to reflect on who we are and how we want to be. Rabbi Nachman teaches us not to lose sight of the importance of personal prayer, as he reminds us that in your native, everyday language, you can express all your thoughts, conversing with God and talking out everything that is on your heart. This can involve regret and repentance for the past, or requests and supplications to come truly close to God from this day forward. This is what the high holidays are about, and this is what prayer is about. Rachmana libabaye, bringing your full heart. May you, in the coming days and in the coming year, find ways to connect to yourself, to others, and to the source of creation. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. I am Alan Golad, and I have the distinct honor to serve a third year as president of University Synagogue. Now, serving 3 years is a little bit unusual, so I thought tonight I would take the opportunity to answer a question my friends and my wife have asked. A third year, what were you thinking? Well, I'll let you know the answer, but first I would like you to allow me to indulge you a bit so I can go back a few years, like 54 years, to when I was 9 years old. My father, Dave Golad, was a very decent, kind, and a good man of both physical and mental toughness, born from being a depression kid who had to make it on his own. He was also a teetotaler, which bode him very well for his career since he owned a tavern. Now, his son appreciates a fine whiskey, so not following my father into the family business was probably a pretty good idea. My father's tavern lies somewhere between the Alien Bar and Star Wars and the sitcom Cheers. The clientele was an eclectic mix of people from all walks of life. On Sunday, the bar was closed. So after Sunday school, my dad would pick me up from the synagogue, and we would go to the tavern. He would do the bookkeeping, and I would push a broom. One day, I asked him a question that had been nagging at me for a while. I said, "Dad, I don't get something. You pay $10 for this bottle of whiskey, and you get 22 drinks from a bottle, and you charge $2.50 for a drink. Why don't your customers just buy a $10 bottle from the liquor store, stay home, they'd save all kinds of money?" Now, you see, I was 9 years old, so I was terrified his customers would discover my secret, and my dad would be out of business. My dad looked at me, and with a glint in his eye, he said, "Son, they don't come here to drink. They come here to be with their friends." It was my first lesson in what it means to belong to a community. This past summer, 5 families from our Havurah went to Israel. 10 adults and 10 teenagers together for 13 days. For all but 2 of us, it was our first trip to Israel. There we were in a remarkably foreign land, and yet from the minute we set foot on Israeli soil, we felt we were home. What a totally unexpected and amazing feeling of belonging. Everywhere we went, it was its own highlight reel, but none more special than Jerusalem. I was mesmerized by the ancient history of Jerusalem and the beautiful sameness of each building faced with Jerusalem stone. The experience made me reflect upon what it means to be Jewish and to be a Reformed Jew. The national pride I felt for the state of Israel and its accomplishments in its 70 years was fiercely evident. But there was something beyond that which spoke to me even more profoundly. And then it hit me. I am part of something very special. Judaism, and specifically Reformed Judaism, is exceptional. We are on the right side of goodness. Our Jewishness is a testament to the power of our ideals. We cherish inclusiveness and diversity. We strive to repair the world, and we are generous with our time, our money, and our feelings. We understand the enormous responsibility to lead by example. Love, compassion, and caring, those are the ideals that guide our lives. Our moral compass is true and unwavering. Oh, we're fallible, and we make poor decisions all too often. But when we have failed, we atone. We ask forgiveness, and we forgive ourselves, promising to do better next time. When I returned from Israel, it was back to everyday life, and I drove down Sunset Boulevard on my way home from work, and I gazed over at University Synagogue as I always do. I saw something different. Perhaps I saw something differently. As I marveled at the beauty of the Jerusalem stone that clads the grand entrance to our synagogue, I saw this house of worship for not only what we are, but what we can become. University Synagogue is very good. Our clergy are incredibly dedicated to our mission. Our schools are wonderful. Our members exemplify the character and integrity that makes this congregation so very good. As twilight sets on our synagogue's 75th anniversary, it is now our responsibility to strive for something more. It's our time to be exceptional. We have gathered a group of dedicated members from our community to strategically align the synagogue with a long-term vision to deepen engagement with our congregants. While synagogue leadership can help guide this vision of inspiration, passion, and enrichment, it is our members who will provide the direction. I'm very excited about our future. There will be change, and you will be at the forefront, charting the journey that lies ahead for University Synagogue. So now back to the original question. Why a third year? Well, I guess my dad made me do it.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan. We're going to turn, friends, to page 78. It's an opportunity to thank all the people who help us make this new year so easy for all of us. Our staff, administrative team in our office, led by Toby Burko, who I'm inviting forward to lead us in our Kiddush, page 78. Our custodial staff, our secretarial staff, the security team, all the many, many people who are involved here, led by Toby. We want to thank her. We want to turn, friends, to 78 and invite all who are able to please rise for our Kiddush.
Thanks. Got it. Lift this cup for the year that is gone, for mountaintop moments and the taste of joy, celebrations shared, milestones met, all we've mastered and achieved since we've last met. For wedding rings, tears, and kisses under the chuppah, new babies' first words and first steps. For the children who bless our homes and bring life to our community, for B'nai Mitzvah and confirmands, young teachers of this holy congregation, ours to cherish and guide with love. For beloved wives and husbands, sisters and brothers, for loyal friends who grow more precious with each passing year, for this community which nourishes us all, for all we've learned, for all we've struggled through, for challenges surmounted and disappointments met with courage, for last moments shared with those we loved and lost, for parents and grandparents whose memories are with us forever. We lift this cup for the year that is gone, for the year that begins. May we meet it in strength, in unity and hope. We lift life's cup and celebrate survival, so may we sanctify each day that is ours.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה. יום תרועה מקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים. כיוון ובחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמרת וקיים Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, V'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
I'm certain there are some people that you're sitting around who you may not know. Take a minute, introduce yourself. Be friendly. Make yourself at home. Make sure everyone is welcome here. Say hi to someone you haven't seen in a while, but make sure everyone gets a warm greeting of Shana Tova tonight.
There's that.
Just spilled on myself. There's no challah. No, there was apple. There was no challah. Oh, well, then it was a mistake. Yeah, I promise. For next year. Promise. Yeah, it's fine. Just all you need is one shtickle to make a motzi. We're all good. It's the least of my concerns. Don't worry about it. Bye. All right, you're good. Okay. Oh, we're not done yet. You can have a seat. It's okay. Have more time at a small oneg that we're going to celebrate. Margaret and I invite you following service to the lobby where we'll have some goodies and an opportunity to continue schmoozing and meeting and getting to know your temple family. Right now, my privilege to invite back our president, Alan Golad.
It's my privilege to introduce our members and clergy who join us this evening on the Bima. To my left, our past president, Hal Reichwald, Susan Reichwald, Susie Jean-Baptista, Deborah Price, Joanne Leuben, Rabbi Feinstein, our Cantor Emeritus, Cantor Jay Freilich, Cantor Shapiro, Heather Lazarus, our board trustee, Brian Lazarus, Tony Goldsopel, our vice president of Tikkun Olam, Stephen Goldsopel, Mitch Viner, and our VP and treasurer, Jennifer Harmon. Tomorrow morning, our Rosh Hashanah Tot service will begin at 8:30. This service is designed for preschoolers through first graders. Our congregational worship begins at 10:30 here in the sanctuary. We also offer services and programming at 10:30 for our religious school students who are in grades 1 through 3 in ECLEC, and for the students in grades 4 through 6 in the Beit Midrash upstairs on the 3rd floor. We encourage our kids who are 7th graders and older to join us here in the sanctuary. And as a reminder, we do have child care services for children between 18 months and kindergarten age available in ECLEC. Now, tomorrow is a school day for our friends at St. Martin, so we will not have access to their parking. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m., the Tashlich service led by Cantor Shapiro will be held at Will Rogers State Beach, and that's at Lifeguard Station number 15. So to get there, enter off of PCH at Temescal and just head south to the end of the parking lot. Our Tikkun Olam Committee and Sisterhood have provided a voter registration table in the lobby during High Holy Days. Please make sure you and your family are registered to vote for the upcoming November elections. On October 26th, Sisterhood will be hosting an innovative Shabbat service with the 60s social justice musical theme. And the Introduction to Judaism course will be taught starting in January by Cantor Shapiro. You give us 18 nights, and we'll give you 4,000 years. Everything that we do can be found in our newsletter, our weekly newsletter, The Torch. Please look in your email inbox, and if you're not receiving it, check your spam, and if you're still not receiving it, let any of us know, and we'll make sure we get you on the list. I want to express my deep appreciation to Susan Rosenstein, our musical director, and the choir, and our soloists for the beauty of the music this evening. And again, I also want to thank, is Toby still, do I see Toby? Our new executive director, Toby Burkow, for making things so seamless for us, and all the staff. Thank you very much. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you. Friends, let's turn to page 82 as we rise for Aleinu. On page 84. And so, Adonai, our God, we look to you, hoping soon to behold the splendor of your power revealed, a world free of idolatry and false gods, a world growing more perfect through divine governance, a world in which all human beings make known your name, while those who do evil turn toward you. As the prophet has announced, the Eternal shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day, the Eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one. Death will come, Its hand will not be stayed even an instant, nor can we enter into judgment with it. Our question why will go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death. We can and we do rob death of ultimate victory by living life as long as it is ours to live. To ask of death that it never come is futile, but it is not futility to pray that when death comes for us, it may take us from a world one corner of which is a little better because we were there. When we are dead and people weep for us and grieve, let it be because we touched their lives with beauty and simplicity. Let it not be said that life was good to us, but rather that we were good to life. Page 90. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yom echon, v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, la'alam u'la'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yithalal, shemei dekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, V'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are saddened among us here and wherever they may be, and let us say together, amen. Invite forward our president of our senior youth group, Rachel Weiss, is going to stand here with us. And we're going to sing Oseh Shalom. Let's turn, friends, to page 300 to conclude with the blessings of this new year.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, your majestic power creates the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. You'll get yours, just patience.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, your majestic power brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri haaretz. Source of blessing, eternal God, your majestic power creates the fruit of the tree.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, she'et chadesh aleinu shana tova u'mtuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year, may it be a sweet year.
Amen. Stay right here with us.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
L'shana tova tikatevu. Al Chazan, 17, baby. 17. Okay. Okay, go and enjoy. Go have some Oneg. Happy, healthy New Year.